Battlefield 6 has been a long time coming, arguably all the way back to when we assumed that this was what Battlefield 2042 would be called. This is actually a return to what Battlefield has done best over the decades, with 64-player battles, a modern warfare setting, defined player classes and roles, and a steady sense of player progression that feels like the good old days. It's as close to a modernised Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 as you could hope for, and the franchise's best shot to meaningfully challenge Call of Duty in almost a decade. With a bit over a week of pre-release multiplayer sessions under my belt, this game definitely strikes a lot of the right notes for me. At the heart of Battlefield 6 are series staple large-scale game modes with Conquest and Breakthrough leading the way. The first of these is the open map with checkpoints that you all know and love, while the other pits attackers against defenders to fight from one side of the map to the other. And there's also Rush, which is kind of a 12v12 variant of Breakthrough in this iteration. Joining them is Escalation, which takes Conquest and ramps the stakes up over time. You start off with 7 control points across the map, and you need to hold on to more of these than the other team in order to build up a meter to try and score a point. At this point the meters are reset and the map then shrinks by 1 objective point, and you go again, with more and heavier vehicles also unlocking over time to, again, ramp up those stakes. It's the first to 3 points that wins, but this can really swing back and forth depending on how things are unlocked, and it can be a really rather fun twist on the classic Conquest style. The map rotation that we experienced put a lot more emphasis on the city maps than the wider open spaces, and I'll be honest, I was kind of fine with that. I did partake in the occasional bit of Operation Locker grinding back in the day. These city maps offer up mazes of buildings and rooms, letting infantry be the focus and showcasing the game's take on destruction much more than you see with the open world ones. And the destruction here is quite well balanced. It gives a lot of the effect of destruction, both cosmetic and impactful with the fascias of buildings coming down, but then without letting you fully level a map in the style of Bad Company 2. While I did enjoy this, there is an imbalance here and the game does need more open world maps. 6 of the 9 maps at launch are actually set in towns and cities. So as popular as Operation Firestorm is, it's got to do a lot of heavy lifting here alongside the mountainside battling of Liberation Peak, which people would disagree on being a big open map, and the other open level which is Mirrock Valley. There's also one oddity here with one map, Saints Quarter, which is only usable for the small scale modes, none of the large scale modes like Conquest or Breakthrough. The big modes are then joined by small scale modes, TDM, Squad DM, Domination and King of the Hill, and it's here that I really got to grips with the weapon handling and the pace of battle. The time to kill in this game can feel very, very quick, and there's a lot more sliding around corners these days, which takes a little leaf out of the Call of Duty playbook. But this also forced me to consider my approach a bit more, instead of just rushing headlong into the fray and inevitably getting myself killed. That and the pre-launch lobbies needing a bit of help from bots to fill the player count, they both did wonders for my kill-death ratio. There's a traditional set of 4 character classes, but for me I think that they really hark back to Battlefield Bad Company 2 by combining the medic, ammo supply and LMG into the support class, which allows the assault to then be a 2-gun frontline soldier, engineer to really focus on anti-vehicle gear, and recon for sniping, spotting and placing those sneaky spawn points. It is, I think, close to being a perfect blend of roles and duties, and while open gun choice does muddy the waters a little bit, I also think that the class bonuses for sticking with their particular signature weapon is just about enough encouragement to have these kind of defined roles. And there's also enough weapons within each bucket to let you lean into a different direction as well. The first LMG that you unlock has got this rapid 30 bullet clip that makes it feel much more like an assault rifle, especially with foregrips enhancing your aim speed. I feel that there's been some positive changes since the beta as well, so the assault doesn't have totally free reign with their second weapon choice, and they might consider a breaching charge instead of a double weapons to lean into the level destruction a bit more. Progression is generally quite straightforward. Weapons and gear are unlocked as you rank up your character, and then attachments come via weapon mastery, which is basically just using it lots. Feeding this is a slew of basic daily challenges to score with a particular class and weapon, in a way that actually having open weapons is then really useful because you can just do both of them at once, and then you've got weekly challenges that can get more specific, as well as overarching challenges that grant specific XP boosts and cosmetic unlocks. You're also rewarded mid-battle through field specs. Yes, you have your key, gear and equipment, but you can also gain class and role specific buffs and boosts as you earn points in a round. Assault can passively get better movement speed while aiming, Support gets the ability to just quickly share life and ammo with nearby allies, so you maybe don't need to carry around that ammo pouch, and you work your way up through these buffs as the round goes on. There's only a couple of field specs per class at this point, and you've got a good distance to go before you actually unlock them, so this feels like an area for DICE to really expand upon through future seasons of content. And yes, this is of course a live service game, and after fluffing their lines for the last couple of games, Season 1 for Battlefield 6 promises 2 new maps and a seasonal makeover through to the end of this year, as well as half a dozen new weapons, a new vehicle, new mode and more. That's a significant improvement over the last few games, and that's also before talking about the Battle Royale mode that is coming down the pipe. We don't really know what the post-launch monetization looks like just yet, but the cosmetics in the game right now rigidly stick to authentic military styles, and that's what the developers have said that they're trying to stick to. Of course, EA is being bought out in the next year or so, and given who the new prospective owners are, it might be that there's eventually a Cristiano Ronaldo skin that's clumsily shoved into the game. But that's purely hypothetical at this moment. The official support will live alongside Portal, which puts sweeping editing tools into the hands of players to create custom levels and game modes which can live on custom servers. These tools weren't available before launch unfortunately, but playing on PS5 we wouldn't really get to play around with them anyway. But there's already officially created infantry-only versions of Breakthrough and Conquest, and a hardcore mode that can already be found in the community section of the main menu. The game will have to do a lot to ensure that the best experiences are made discoverable, because they are splintered off away from the default game mode selection, just as the closed weapon playlists are hidden away out of sight as well. But it's good that they are there, and we're excited to see what the possibilities are. Of course, while multiplayer is the main part of Battlefield 6, this game does see the return of a single-player campaign, a side to this franchise that has swung between highs and lows since their very first effort in Bad Company. In this case, unfortunately, it is just far too far by the numbers and really lacking in polish. The story goes that NATO is under attack by a mysterious PMC known as Pax Armata, whose rapid rise escalates from a territorial rivalry into all-out conflict that will go from Gibraltar through Egypt to New York and beyond. There's some fun highlights and grand spectacles here, squeezing in some Battlefield staples like repairing a tank through urban combat and open area missions later on. But it's wrapped up in a largely uninteresting mystery, and the presentation just isn't up to snuff. There's, for example, missing hand animations at times. There's mission scripting that doesn't trigger properly if you outpace your AI team or do things in atypical ways, and the enemy AI is just painfully dumb in general. Then there's the story beats that just don't land because interpersonal relationships and conflicts aren't actually in the final game. There's cutscenes that take too much control away from you for highlight moments that should 100% be playable, and which have so much shaky cam inserted into them that even Jason Bourne would need to have a sit down for a minute. The campaign is really the part of the game that needed much more time in the oven, and it's a shame that Motive and Criterion, who led the campaign's development, didn't get that time. But all in all, Battlefield 6 is a return to form for this large-scale shooter, with a great blend of infantry classes, mechanised warfare, some clever new game modes, and without too much nonsense wrapped around it. This is a true successor to Battlefield 4, right down to having a pretty naff campaign. That's all that we've got for our review of Battlefield 6. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and if you have done so, please make sure to like, subscribe, share, click the bell icon, you know, all of the usual things to do on YouTube by now, and so hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye.
The enemy has disarmed our charges on Bravo.
Let's move!